So you might have clicked this video wondering, how's an NES game expensive nowadays? Didn't the system die more than 20 years ago? Well, yes. But as things become older, some of the original releases become harder to find, and by extension, the rarity goes up. There's more factors that go into it, but bear with me here. The NES was officially released in Japan as the Family Computer or Famicom by Nintendo in 1983 and continued to have support past the release of its successor in the Super Famicom or Super Nintendo for you Yanks and Brits in 1990, all the way until the bright old year of 2003? Really? But in that time, 1,376 games were officially released for the system, with some coming out only in Japan, some coming out only in North America, and a little trickle only coming out in jolly old England. Now, of those games that came out, which ones will cost you the most in the modern age of 2025? Well, with the help of the handy-dandy pricecharting.com, I will highlight some of the ones that will cost you the most to collect today. So first off, some ground rules. I'll be comparing both the NTSC, loose and complete in box prices, just so you see the difference between having a complete undisturbed game versus a cart that you've probably thrown around a little bit unknowingly. Another reason for this is some of the games that are soon to come in this video weren't exactly released in box, hint hint. These prices are not absolute and are just an estimate by the price charting site based on listings and sales, so don't take them super seriously. Second, I won't be covering NES modified consoles, accessories, or testing carts, though some of those would be worth a pretty penny as well. Third, 5-screw carts will also not be represented here. Now you may be asking, what is a 5-screw cart and how is it different than a regular NES cart? Well, simple. Those carts were screwed in with 5 screws instead of 3. Moving on. And lastly, I know I'll be hopping around different listings and skipping a few, so if you want to read the entire most expensive NES games list, definitely check out pricecharting.com yourself. Alright, let's go. Starting off, we have the game Mighty Final Fight. This chibi version of the arcade beat-em-up was released in 1993, past when the Super Nintendo was released, and past when the original version was ported to the system. Instead of making a subpar port, Mighty Final Fight goes its own way by having a new art style and experience system that makes the game worth playing if you haven't already. But we aren't here to talk about the game itself. How much is it exactly? Well, if you want to experience this game legally, you can get a copy of it online for the low price of $219.39 loose and $849.99 complete in box. Woof! The reason for the price stems from its release date. Most games on this list were released late in the system's lifespan, when everyone moved on to the Super Nintendo, Genesis, or the CDI, and they didn't receive the AT marketing push. Shame, as this game, while not the best, is worth your attention. And if you want to play it now, the path is a little more complicated. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers 2 was another late release for the system, coming out in 1993 from Capcom. Similar to the previous game, which was based upon the Disney Afternoon cartoon show, you control Chip and Dale as they go after the Fat Cat Gangster, one level at a time. If you like the previous game, you'll like this as well. But if you want to have a complete collection, you'll have to fork over $313.90 loose and $843.45 for complete in-box. Sounds absolutely bonkers, but luckily you have another option. The Disney Afternoon Collection compilation was released in 2017 that includes both games as well as a few others for the PlayStation 4, Windows, and Xbox One, and is well worth your money if you want to dream of a time when you weren't aging horribly. Kid Clown in Nightmare World was released in 1993 and was a reskin of a Mickey Mouse game in Japan. Mickey Mouse 3, Yume Fuzen, was released in 1992 and was made by Kemco as part of the Crazy Castle series. The license for the franchise didn't carry over, so instead, we get the start of the Kid Clown franchise. Anyway, disregarding that, how much will it cost you to pick up? Well, just about $494.83 loose and $1,730.81 complete in box. Are you absolutely mad? For a clown looking to save his family? Well, if you really want it, I guess. Bonk's Adventure was the start of the Bonk series, who arguably was the mascot of the fledgling TurboGrafx 16. Made by Atlas and published by NEC Home Electronics in North America, the adventures of the cave boy with a giant noggin saving the prehistoric world from King Drool lasted 6 different games across multiple generations, with the first one ironing out the formula. The game was ported to the Amiga and NES after a while, with the NES version in particular fetching a hefty price nowadays, with the loose costing $689.93 and the complete in box costing you $1,825 even. The obvious explanation for the big numbers is that people bought the game on the TurboGrafx and didn't even really know that the NES port existed. But at the same time, how many TurboGrafx were really sold over here? Not to shade the console, but yeah, who knows? Power Blade 2 was the sequel to the frankly underrated Power Blade that was released in 1992 by Taito. Power Blade has been labeled a Mega Man clone for the fact that you can choose your stage as well as shooting at enemies, and the sequel certainly doesn't shy away from your allegations, adding in being able to slide and getting different weapons that change up your firing style. And you know what? What's wrong with that? It's still a great game. Now, in terms of affordability, the Mega Man games have a bit of an edge, with Power Blade 2 costing you around $924.97 loose and $1,065.57 complete in box. Yeesh! The prices being near each other is interesting, but man, do you really have to spend near $1,000 to play this game? Just stick to the Mega Man franchise, please. So Bubble Bath Babes, hold it! So I can't exactly show you anything from this game, being a simple porn puzzle game and all, but if you want to perv out, you better start saving up, cause you'll be coughing up $1,199.99 for the loose price and $2,500 complete in box. Man, getting to see some pixel booby was hard work. Alright, let's just proceed on. Flintstones Surprise at Dinosaur Peak was released in 1993 by Taito, the sequel to the last Flintstones game, The Rescue of Dino and Hoppy. This game was one of the last officially released for the system. It was rumored that this game was a Blockbuster exclusive, but that has never been proven. Either way, the game was also never released in Japan, leading to its high price point of $1,199.99 loose and $4,999 even complete in box, just for an adventure controlling Fred and Barney to save their kids. To be fair, the game is a fun time, though I don't know who will fork over the amount of money to find that out nowadays. Little Samson is a game I've covered before on this channel, which you can learn about more here. In short words, this game is a hidden gem that everyone should play at least once. I wouldn't recommend adding it to your collection though, as picking up a copy of Little Samson will run you about $1,800 loose and $5,860.93 complete in box. Besides the previously mentioned late release, the game received awful marketing from Taito in the States, leading to low sales, which in the present day has absolutely boosted its value. This game has been called the poster child for expensive NES games, though it's not the most expensive. No, just hang tight a little longer for that. Cheetahmen II has an absolutely bonkers story behind it. The original Cheetahmen was one of 52 shoddy games released as part of an ill-fated Action 52 compilation cart that was released by Active Enterprises for $199 in 1991. Now, if your jaw just dropped, you aren't alone. They really wanted parents to fork over about $200 for one cart. Cheetahmen was the shining star for the game, being given the most attention, and even having a toy and comic line planned for it, similar to the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles franchise. Now, the game was a horrible mess, and Action 52 was a sales failure, leading to most future plans being abandoned. Notice I said most. A sequel started development but wasn't completed. However, in 1996, found in a random warehouse in Florida was 1,500 copies of the game, which were promptly sold on the secondary market. The game didn't even get its own cart, being housed in reused Action 52 cases with a gold sticker with the words Cheetahmen II slapped on it. Now the game is awful, no surprise, but how much would you pay to own this gem? Well, if you have $1,926.47 for a loose copy, or $5,289.72 for a complete in-box copy, congratulations! You have a shiny turd. Now we're coming down to the nitty-gritty, the most expensive games in the NES library. The Nintendo World Championships were a US-based competition series that was organized by Nintendo of America that was hosted in many different cities. These competitions pit the competitors in different NES games. In the 1990 World Finals, the game that was played was a different sort of beast. It was a gray competition cart that featured Super Mario Bros., Rad Racer, and Tetris, and the competitors were tasked to get the highest score across the 3 games. The winners in each age bracket received a motherload of prizes, but the 90 finalists were also given a copy of the competition cart, which nowadays will cost you around $2,180.68 for a loose copy. The amount of carts remaining in the world is disputed, with as many as 353 existing throughout the age. However, there exists an even rarer gold version of this cart, which would cost you around $12,800 just for a loose copy. This version was only given out during a Nintendo Power Contest, and there are only 26 known to exist in the world. Now you may think over $10K is absolutely ludicrous for an NES game, but the most expensive game outclasses even this. Family Fun Fitness Stadium Events was released by Bandai in 1986. It was an NES game that promoted health to its players by competing in 4 different track events: the 100-meter dash, the 110-meter hurdles, the long jump, and the triple jump. The game was intended to be played with the Family Fun Fitness mat, which can support up to 2 players at a time, stomping on it and causing an earthquake in whatever house you're playing it in. Nintendo saw this and, seeing the dollar signs, purchased the mat and renamed it as the more widely known Power Pad. Stadium Events was also renamed as World Class Track Meet and re-released in 1987. The Nintendo version of the game isn't that rare. However, if you happen to own a copy of the original Stadium Events, you could potentially fetch a net profit of about $16,100 loose, and for the complete in box, well, that can get you about $42,004.20. Absolutely mind-blowing. The amount of original untampered with Stadium Events is unknown, but if you ever see one out in the wild, just know you're putting a down payment just to even get close to owning it. While the gold NWC cart's price can fluctuate higher depending on the sale, Stadium Events regularly holds the top spot as the most expensive NES game. Is there a game you're surprised I didn't cover? Is there a game that's clearly not worth the amount it's being sold for? Leave them in the comments below. Hope to see you next time. Have a good one.